Hi there. Welcome back. We are serving the valley is what we're doing. I'm Roy Justice. I'll be your tour guide here. I was looking at an article I found in the local paper just not too long ago, and it said local volunteers being sought. And I thought, I wonder what that's all about. Let's find out what that's all about. The Volunteer Center of the Cedar Valley. That's what this is all about. My guests are Lauren Fink. Hi, Lauren.
Hello.
Good to see you again.
You
It's
too.
been a couple of years. Sally Timmer has joined her. Sally, what do you do with this organization?
Yeah, I am the RSVP coordinator at the Volunteer Center, and so I engage people 55 and better in volunteer opportunities in our community.
We'll get back to that,
Yeah.
I bet you. Lauren, your job description said what in a sentence?
Working to promote and support volunteerism in our community through partnerships.
Very well. And that's all the time? No. Let's talk about the mission of the organization because there's a graphic that will explain that, which you'll see right there. Explain that to me.
Well, it really is just about connecting people who are interested in volunteering. We know there are hundreds of people that are willing to get involved in service experiences in our community. And there are also so many different community organizations and events. And so we work to really connect those individuals. And in addition to that, operate through some youth programming in our community, as well as really helping organizations understand how they can effectively engage the people who want to come serve them.
The reason they have joined us here is because I love to hear about opportunities from people who are helping to find other people who want to do stuff, so to speak. Not very well put, but I think you get the gist. Where do you find these people?
Well, so many different places. You mentioned the newspaper article. We do regularly post in the Courier. We also send out to thousands of people every week a news release with opportunities to get involved. So that shows up in people's email inboxes. Of course, social media, and spending cool time with people like you, having these conversations about volunteering. It really helps to engage people.
Buttering up me will get you more time for sure. Let's talk about, it's a really big world out there, Lauren. To accomplish what you do and the number of people that you help serve, people like Sally come along and say, gee, what can I do to help? What are you doing to help?
The community as a whole?
You name it.
All right. So specifically for RSVP, we help reading with kids in the schools, in the Waterloo school system. Obviously that was kind of put on hold with COVID this last year,
Sure.
but we've tried to kind of switch to virtual reading buddies we had going on. We created some pen pal program with some of the students, but we're looking forward, and I know our volunteers are looking forward to when they can be in person with students again. We also have we partner with Aarp Tax Aide, and our tax volunteers prepare taxes for free for people. So obviously during the tax season, they're very, very busy doing all of that. And then we also have a disaster component where we are training volunteers to be prepared for when a disaster strikes and setting up a volunteer reception center in our community. And then we just have volunteers at other organizations, nonprofits, that need volunteers, and our volunteers are ready and willing to help in any way that they can.
When we do these programs, we don't necessarily like to look back, particularly after what we've all just been through, but how did you keep it together if we were looking back? Do you remember?
Well, things changed dramatically March, I guess, of 2020, and the work that we were doing at the Volunteer Center. We knew people still wanted to get involved in service experiences. We knew actually people who hadn't been involved previously kind of felt that urge or that desire to get involved in things, just because there were so many in need, in our community and really worldwide as a whole. But we started to see our organizations pivot a little bit and come up with unique ways to engage volunteers, whether they were doing that socially distanced, so safely in their organizations, still bringing people in, or maybe they were doing things off-site website and virtually. And not just virtually meaning, on a computer screen or using technology, but coming up with innovative ways that volunteers could still make a difference in their organization, but just doing it maybe from the comfort and safety of their own home. Okay. So we had volunteers that were writing pen pal letters, I think, through the school districts, creating masks, and even, we were offering up the ideas and opportunities to families who still wanted their kids engaged in things. Create fun posters for your postal service employees who are still out delivering mail, or even coming up with something fun to share with the sanitation workers that were picking up trash every week. Mm-hmm. And so there were ways that people could still do get involved while doing it safely during a pandemic time.
So somebody out there is still with us and they're wondering, okay, where are they going to get down to where I start? So where I start?
Well, it's easy. I mean, you just call us at the Volunteer Center, or you jump on our website, vccv.org. And the really cool thing about that website, is that you have the opportunity to explore volunteer opportunities right on an online platform. So we partner with about 206 different community partners here in Black Hawk County.
Wow.
They post their volunteer opportunities, and then from that, they can connect with the volunteer coordinators at each of those sites. And so the connection's just made, and then we know that people can start getting involved in service experiences. I would also suggest that, keep looking, keep checking our social media, because we regularly post ways that you can get involved in that as well. So there's a lot of ways to get in touch with us, but we're willing to have conversations with people or direct them to different opportunities through the website and help them get involved.
Okay, I hesitate when I ask the next question. I'll let you know that in advance, because to single out organizations or how come they didn't say this? Or we have lots of time here. Well, kind of. So let's single out a few of the organizations that you think are, number one, are in need of some new volunteers, and number two, have done such a great job over the years.
Yeah, the really cool thing is that we offer an experience or an opportunity for organizations called the Service Enterprise Institute or Service Enterprise Initiative. And this is an opportunity for organizations to go through an intensive training process so that it becomes kind of a culture shift for the way that they're engaging volunteers. It's not just the volunteer coordinator's responsibility. It becomes visible in all facets of the organization. Everybody understands the importance of engaging volunteers and how to do so effectively. So we've had a number of organizations go through and are going through this process in our community that really have taken their volunteer programming to the next level. So whether that be the Black Hawk County ISU Extension Office, we have seen the Northeast Iowa Food Bank and the Salvation Army do amazing things with their volunteer programs in the last few years. And right now we've got organizations like the Cedar Falls Historical Society working through the Service Enterprise Initiative program, as well as Black Hawk County Conservation, just to name a few. So we've had somewhere between 10 to 15 different organizations go through this in the last few years. And we really, while all 206 of our community partners play a very important role in the Cedar Valley community, we want volunteers to have really good experiences and not have that revolving door experience when they go to organizations. They go in, they do something, maybe it's an okay experience, but it's not great. They don't feel like the work they're doing has been effective or makes a difference. And then that revolving door starts, right? They move on to the next organization. Right. We don't want that. We want people to have well-rounded opportunities. Doesn't mean they can't try different things, but we want them to be well-rounded and for them to feel like they're making a difference.
Give me an example of what kind of time commitment may be needed, like with your organization, RSVP?
Yeah, it really kind of varies. There's no, you have to do this many hours a week. Volunteers get to pick how much they want to put their time into it. So for something like Reading Buddies, that's usually 1 hour a week with the students at the school. And then if they want to do more, they can do multiple classrooms. But something like Tax Aide, when it's you know, heavy during tax season, they're doing 20, 30, 40 hours a week, and you know, really putting in the hours there. So yeah, it just really varies a lot depending on what a volunteer is interested in putting in for their time.
Just out of curiosity, what got you involved in what you're doing?
Well, so in my previous role, I worked with seniors. I was at the Alzheimer's Association doing programming there, and things kind of changed there where they were looking to get volunteers more involved, and so that's actually where I really started to learn more about what Lauren offered at the Volunteer Center and for trainings and things like that, and I really realized what an impact volunteers can have on the community, and I like working with seniors.
So how are these volunteers recognized over the last year's, no, let's forget about that. But looking ahead, how does the organization recognize those who are being of service?
Well, you know, I think each of our nonprofit partners have different and unique ways that they recognize their volunteers. But on more of a community-wide level, we do partner with the mayors of Waterloo, Cedar Falls, and Evansdale to host the Mayor's Volunteer Awards every year. And that's a great opportunity for organizations to submit nominations for the good work that volunteers are doing, and for us to then celebrate those individuals as well. I think you're seeing a photo of some recipients from, I guess, probably 2 years prior, that, you know, we're able to really celebrate the awesome things that they're doing. On more of a statewide level, the governor also has their Governor's Volunteer Awards, and nominations for that are accepted in the early springtime every year. And then we are one of the lucky locations here in the Waterloo Cedar Falls community to host one of 5 regional awards from that, where the governor and lieutenant governor come to our community and celebrate the good work of volunteers from our region as well. So there's lots of ways, lots of unique ways that volunteers are recognized, and we obviously like to call out the good work that individuals are doing for our organization and for others in the community. So we do like to celebrate that.
Let's talk a little bit about what this thing that happened back in past months brought out, and that is social media kind of came to the forefront for sure. How are you making use of social media?
Well, you know, we post volunteer opportunities and engage individuals through social media regularly. Right on our social media sites, not only are we posting volunteer opportunities, but we might be recognizing or celebrating individuals, companies, businesses who have their employees engaged in service experiences. We might be giving or sharing statistics about volunteerism, whether that be local, statewide, or national. And we also might just be talking about some of the cool things that volunteering can offer you as an individual. I think Sally uses social media a little bit for the promotion and kind of gaining of volunteers.
Yeah, we have a lot of, you know, I think a lot of seniors are also on social media, and so we try to, you know, maybe post videos of some of our volunteers being reading buddies, or just other information of new recruitment that we're maybe doing with like the disaster program or reading buddies in the fall. So we definitely do use it a lot.
So where do you come up with the innovations that are in your future as far as the organization is concerned? Is there a overall group of people who get together and compare ideas?
Well, I mean, we have a strong relationship with the board of directors for the Volunteer Center.
Okay.
17 members who really help lead us, guide us in the work that we're doing here in the Cedar Valley. But I think even more so than that, we focus on, you know, what's happening on a statewide level. Volunteer Iowa, the commission, the state commission, provides a lot of really good direction and ideas. And then nationally, we really look to the Points of Light, in our national affiliate, the organization that shares information with us about volunteering, provides training opportunities, et cetera, to really be, I guess, that guiding star for the work that we're doing, giving us some solid ideas and really providing the direction that the nation's going when it comes to volunteering.
Okay. So if there was, and I don't want to dwell on this, if there was a weakness that came up in that thing we don't want to talk about, the past year. What was it? Did something come to the forefront that, gosh, all along we should have been? Or did you just, let's look ahead?
Well, I don't even know if it's a weakness. I think the really great thing that, the pandemic has allowed us to think about, first of all, is that, organizations probably weren't prepared. So that might be the negative, right? Like we just weren't prepared. Like what if you can't get volunteers in your door? What if people aren't willing to come out? And, what if our programming just kind of stops or comes to a halt? What happens? I think those are all really negative things. But I think from that, the opportunity for us to try a lot of really cool things and not be worried about the long-term effects of trying those new things. Like we were able to, throw things up against the wall and just keep trying different things and not be like, we didn't have to say we failed. We were able to say, it didn't work. COVID, we're going to try something new. And I think that became a really awesome thing. So scary at first, disappointing about, the inability to engage people initially, but then allowing us to be innovative and creative about the ways that we engaged volunteers. Who would have thought that we could provide the Reading Buddies program through RSVP virtually? Who would have thought that would have ever worked out? Nobody would have thought that would be an appropriate way to help youth kind of master their reading skills, but it's been really neat to see.
Yeah, and I think that even when we can go back in the schools, I'm going to have some of those volunteers that they want to still do the virtual because it's convenient for them. They can log on during their lunch hour at work or something like that and still stay involved with students. So I think there's a lot of positives to it too.
When you have such a vast, how many numbers did you say of agencies or
206.
206. Golly, Dave. Okay, we should have had some of them come on in here and explain. Then again, maybe not.
Yeah.
Sally, I'm just kind of curious. Personally, we heard about the RSVP and how you have done it and working it through. But as far as you personally dealing with the pandemic and your volunteerism and so forth, you've come through it, I think, a stronger person, yes?
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, it was a little crazy in the beginning when, it's like everything was shut down and we don't know when can my volunteers get back in there and, what's going to happen. But I think it has made us all a little more flexible in what we can and can't do and be able to pivot quickly as needed. And so, it was great to also see my volunteers being so flexible too. With Aarp Tax Aide program, they had a lot of changes that happened quickly right before tax season. They're coming out with new rules and changes happening, and they just say, okay, we'll try this then and we'll do this instead. And for me, sometimes hearing all these, I'm like, what are you gonna do? But they figure out a way to make it all work, and so it was really impressive for me to see that too.
When I do these programs, and those who are regular viewers of this understand this, these people do not have any idea what I'm going to ask when we're doing the program. A lot of that is tracked by what we're doing now. But why didn't Roy ask us about? Lauren, the ball's in your court. Why didn't I ask you about what that you would like to have brought forward?
Well, I don't even know if it's so much as why didn't you ask me, but let me have the opportunity to extend the invitation to people in the community who are looking for ways that they can get involved. That volunteering is much more, the most important part about volunteering is feeling like you're helping somebody else, right?
Yes.
But volunteering can become much more to you as the individual. The benefits that you can receive from getting involved in the community sometimes far outweigh the good work that you're doing. And I think that, volunteers have a lot to be thankful for, that they're given those experiences to do that, because it's awesome for networking. It's great for building new friendships and meeting new people. You know, we have a wonderful program on campus at the university where we staff an office there as well. So those students utilize the services of the Volunteer Center because they want to gain some new experiences, kind of pad their resume or build their resume, or potentially develop some good information for scholarship opportunities too. So, you know, it's important for people who are looking at ways that they can get involved in volunteering to know that it's just so much more than just helping one another. That people can have so many great feelings from doing so. So the invitation is extended to the Cedar Valley community to, you know, reach out to the Volunteer Center, whether you are age 3, all the way older than 55 and wanting to get involved in the RSVP program, to come and get in contact with us, and we're so happy to help you find a spot.
And once again, that contact information, which I think will show up in just a second. There you are. Lauren, Sally, thank you very much for spending some of your time and for what you are doing for us here in the Cedar Valley. And we thank our viewers for joining us for another edition. What are you waiting for? There was the contact information. The challenge is now for you. Serving the Valley. I mean, serving the Valley. They are. I am. Next. Thanks for joining us.
Want to get involved in volunteering in the Cedar Valley? The Volunteer Center of Cedar Valley will connect you with opportunities from over 150 organizations in Black Hawk County. We are the resource and coordination center for youth and adults, individuals and groups, employers and employees, and all other community partnerships. Discover and sign up for opportunities via the online database at www.vccv.org. For more information, email information@vccv.org or call 319-272-2087. Volunteer Center of Cedar Valley, connecting community, changing lives.